Traffic was light, the weather was clear. A truck slowed down and apparently disappeared momentarily into the cloud. Behind it, the car carrying Miss Mansfield did not slow down. It crashed into the rear of the truck, shearing off the top of the car. The 3 adults in the front seat were killed instantly. Miss Mansfield was decapitated.
This is all that is left of a 1966 Buick in which Jayne Mansfield, the famous movie star, was killed.
A lot of people don't like to look at dead people, you know. And them people just all up in there, jammed up in that car.
There was a wig laying approximately right there on the dash. A lot of reporters came to the scene before they could get it cleaned up, and they saw that and just took off with it.
They thought it cut her head off, but it didn't. She was fully intact. And but a lot of people believe that and still believe it. But she wasn't, I embalmed her, so I know she wouldn't.
The incredible thing about Jayne is that she built this enormous career and had 5 children and was dead at 34.
She was the most publicized woman in America. You know, you can't really probably remember any movie she made, but you know darn well she existed.
She would walk from Biloxi, Mississippi to Hollywood, California, upside down, naked in the snow, to have her picture put in the paper.
She liked to shock me. I'll do something outrageous. And she would always say, I wonder what Mom and her friends would think about this.
Her parents lived here. They were married. Both of them were called Palmer, not closely related. And they moved to Phillipsburg, where he was a lawyer. It's a quiet town. A place where other people kid us and say, you don't have a store in town. The folks are countrified, they help each other, they go to church, they sing in the choirs and so forth. Have I gotten to the point of what kind of people we are?
They were driving up a hill, it was raining, and they were laughing and joking, and out of a clear blue sky, Mr. Palmer just slumped over against his wife, and he was dead. Heart attack. Of course, she was only 3 years old when her father died, so it made a great deal of difference. Vera was a very beautiful woman, very buxom. Jayne got her natural attributes from her mother. And Vera was she had an eye for the men, and the men had an eye for her. But she had a certain, what would you call it, country club or bridge club persona. And she would be disdainful of the things that Jayne would do for sensation.
A real
vision of loveliness. She was, and when I opened the door, or the door was open, there she was. I said, that's a good-looking girl. I was not bad looking in those days either. I began calling her, and then we began dating. I felt very proud when I'd walk down the street with this gorgeous thing on my arm. Late January, we just decided to elope, and we did. We didn't tell anybody about it. She was 16, I was 20, 21. I was young and in love, yes. And I guess she was too. We got married in a fever, hotter than a couple of cats, you know. So that was our story, I think. Somewhere in there, she said that someday she sure wanted to have her opportunity to be in the movies. And I said, okay.
Riding along in my automobile.
I saw the Los Angeles area as good as any to establish myself, too. And I was willing to take her there and then look for work myself.
Cuddling more and driving slow, with no particular place to go.
Janie wanted to be a movie actress, not just an actress, but a star. And she changed her hair to blonde. They liked blondes back then. She was getting better looking every day, you know, and that was fine. And I was playing my role. I told her that I would take her to California and I would stand by and give her opportunity.
So we parked way out on the Kokomo. The night was young and the moon.
We had not been there more than a couple of 3 weeks before she made her first move, I guess you'd call it.
Can you imagine the way I felt? I couldn't unfasten a safety belt.
I first met her in 1955 when she came to the premiere of Underwater, which was a Jane Russell film. She had on this gorgeous bathing suit, and you know the type figure Jane had. Gorgeous bosoms. To first get noticed, she jumped in the swimming pool, and when she came out, the top of her bathing suit had come loose, and she excited everybody there. So all of a sudden, the entire press corps ran towards Jane. It was all Jayne Mansfield, Jayne Mansfield, and that was her publicity stunt. She didn't have a PR guy.
I've always said that Janie had more guts than most men, and she would put herself into whatever kind of a situation would help to advance her, and that's good.
I did a soliloquy from Joan of Arc for Milton Lewis, who was the head of casting at Paramount Studios, in order to audition, and he just seemed to think that I was wasting my, as he said, obvious talents.
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
I had begun to not like what I saw, and I told her that, and really this wasn't what I had bargained for, and I could see that she was going places, and that was good for her. I just couldn't stand the attention she was receiving from other men. I didn't know how we were going to care for Janie Marie in a family kind of an atmosphere with that going on. Of course, you could say that my leaving didn't help that, but still, it wasn't right. It seemed wrong to me, and so I chose to tell her that. I could see myself as a Mr. Jayne Mansfield, and that really wasn't what I had sought for my life. So along about the spring of '55 probably, we separated. And I took a job in San Francisco and moved away.
I was 4, and she got the lead in Will Success Boulevard Hunter on Broadway, and that was a big deal. She was just on top of the world. I mean, she got a job. Not only was it just a job, and it was the lead in the play, she was getting reviews. She was extremely excited, and this is really what skyrocketed her up.
When Rock Hunter opened, with Jane on a massage table wrapped in nothing but a bath towel with hanging out from every direction, she made the front pages of every paper in New York. She was an immediate Broadway hit sensation.
Never had a dream come true.
If you're Bernhardt or Shakespeare, if no one knows about it, then you may as well just kind of act in your own home, which doesn't do too much good if you want to be a successful star. So I feel that the right balance of publicity, coupled with talent, brings forth a giant star that cannot be toppled over.
Never found.
She won an award in 1957 as the most photographed woman. She was on over 500 magazine covers in 1 year. So this was her first cover of Life for being in the play Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter. She did special pinup books like this book, and this was her second cover. And this was pretty. She knew all the press people in publicity, the photographers, the press agents at all. Some record album covers that she appeared on, but she doesn't really sing on them. She also did this necktie. You can have her close to you at all times. She was Miss Direct Mail, Miss Queen of the Freeways, and she was in Playboy magazine every February. Miss Queen of the Chihuahua Dog Show, Miss Junior Size Dresses, Miss Tomato. She did this hot water bottle, which was shaped like her. I think the only one she turned down was Miss Roquefort Cheese, because it didn't sound right.
So please, my darling, tell me.
She would do anything for the press. I mean, anything. I mean, that adoration that came back, it was, that attention meant so much to her that she did give it her all.
During this period of time, she was invited one night to the Latin Quarter to see the Mae West show. When Mickey Hargitay, who was part of Mae's show, one of her muzzle men that she used in her show, walked out on the stage, Jane went crazy. She says, "Who is that?"
My name is Mickey Hargitay. I'm born in Budapest, Hungary.
She says, "I don't care where he's from. I want him."
Every night I hope and pray a dream lover will come my way.
And I was singing a song. Everything I have is yours, you part of me. And I was keep looking down there, and I see a girl, blonde hair, just like Mae West, and she had a milkshake.
Dream lover, so I don't have to dream alone.
I fell in love. That's the whole situation. And so did she, both of us.
So true.
This is a love story, a fairy tale love story. And we have to understand this. We are hooked with Humphrey Bogart and Clark Gable. But this is the real thing, I feel. And I'm very, very much feeling that energy.
Dream lover, so I don't have to dream alone.
Oh, they were referred to as Tarzan and Jane, Hercules and his mate, Beauty and the Beast. There was all kinds of metaphors for who they were, but they were madly in love. It was all waist down and smoochy.
Dream lover, until then I'll go to sleep and dream again.
We were front page. But time from one day to another, we were front page.
Dreams come true because
I feel that a star owes it to her public to bring the public into her life. They feel, the fans feel that they kind of own you, and if you kept your life a complete secret, it wouldn't be fair to them. But my private life, and when I say private life, I mean private life, is always very private.
thing to do until my lover's dreams come
Miss West, she give me hell. She said, how dare you go out there and make a spectacle of yourself with this cheap blonde? And I said, Miss West, it is not so. I love this girl. I love this girl. I love JAYNE Mansfield, and I'm gonna marry her. And the next thing I know, from her left, hitting her face, I was down on the floor, knocked out.
No, don't kill him, please.
And that was the end of Mickey and May. When Jane's show closed, Jane, with Mickey on one arm, Jane Marie, and a Great Dane headed out for California.
Sylvia,
Yes, Mickey.
how do you call your lover boy?
Come here, lover boy.
And if he doesn't answer?
Oh, lover boy.
And if he still doesn't
California, here I come. Here we are.
Fox brought Jane out here as a threat to Monroe more than anything else. So they wanted to let her know, we've got somebody else here that we can bring in who'll be just as giggly and just as wiggly as you.
Oh, baby, my sweet baby.
She had a contract. She had a film to walk into. Everything was hunky-dory. Everything was just great. Bill Schiffer was telling me, and Frank was telling me, I'm going to do a complete rewrite on Will Success Paul Rock Hunter. And Frank's was telling me, and guess, Mickey, who's going to star with Jane? I said, I don't know. You!
I get cold sweats thinking about it. My makeup won't stay on.
Jane was terrific in a film.
Starring Rita Marlowe and a surprise guest star.
Thank you.
2 hits. 2 hits. Everything was working just like clockwork. And here comes a time, another hit, we planned on marriage, and on January 13th, 1958, we get married. Jane and Mickey get married. A quiet wedding, that's what she wanted. Her family, my family. And there's hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And we were just together. We wouldn't bother with, you know, we noticed the crowd, but it didn't let us bother, you know. I felt I already made it. You know, everybody knows me. I came to America, 47, nobody knows me. Everybody knows me now. we're going to buy a house. She wanted nostalgia, Sunset Boulevard.
Hello, Miss Mansfield. This is Robert Robinson here. I wonder if you're at home.
Oh, yeah. That's what it's all about, being a movie star in Hollywood. Let's play the game.
Mural,
a
mural.
coat of arms, almost.
It is our own coat of arms, J&M for Jane and Mickey. You see, on the left-hand side, the little hearts, and that's my kind of crest, and Mickey has the triangle. Mickey actually made the table himself.
With his bare hands.
With his bare hands. And Mickey made me that headboard out of pink antique mirror.
He made that himself?
Yes, he made it himself.
And then here's this heart-shaped gold mosaic bath. Who designed that?
My husband designed it. It has pink marble on the outside and gold faucets and the gold, as you said, the gold mosaic in the bottom.
As they call it, a pink house or a pink palace. We called it the House of Love.
I never had a dream.
And I said, well, you're going to have a heart-shaped pool. I'm going to build you a heart-shaped pool. And with my handwriting, I wrote, I love you, Janie. And I completed in little gold 1-inch square mosaics.
I never walked a lane that had a turn.
When Mickey bought the Pink Palace, he never had the money. He put it all he had. That's all a man can do. Like, give it all. And when you give all, it comes back in many different forms. It comes in many different forms.
So please, my darling, tell me.
And she was just hugging me, tears in her eyes, and said, we're sitting on top of the world. And that's where it was. And it's pity sometimes people don't stay there, isn't it?
Never had a dream come true, baby. Never had a sky of blue.
She was almost pregnant all the time while we were married, all the time.
Never walked a lane that had a turn in.
She always said, I want 10 children.
Never found the answer to my lonely yearning.
You know how we cuddle, I like to be called Mother.
To love Mama. Though that's all.
I think a problem it's really begin when with her career, as she's pushing it too much, she didn't want it to stop. And I keep saying, honey, don't bother, don't, sit down, relax, choose your script.
I don't particularly enjoy publicity. It seems to follow me around all my life for some reason. Everything I do seems to make headlines. As far as being a dumb blonde is concerned, this certainly gave me my first chance into stage stardom first and movie stardom second.
Unfortunately, the first role that pivoted her up to semi-stardom was that of a dumb blonde. And I think that unfortunately, down the line is the downfall, because you're talking of an era that ended pretty quickly. It was an act. The whole thing was an act. She was a concert violinist and pianist. She spoke 5 languages. I think she was misunderstood, but it was her own doing. I mean, she's the one who walked in there and said, this is what I want, and I'll take it, and I'll do it, not realizing the consequences.
By the early 1960s, Jane's career was beginning to decline, and she did a relatively low-budget film called Promises, Promises that included some more explicit nudity.
she would have asked me, she would have said, no, don't do a nude scene in a bathtub and Tommy Noonan being sitting next to you. I would have said, oh, no-go. I don't think at the time of her life it was appropriate for her.
Sandy, do you want something, Eddie?
I find out another thing, that Playboy was covering it.
When that pictorial appeared, it caused a firestorm. It was the most successful magazine to date for us. Chicago sent a couple of police over to arrest me for supposedly selling obscenity.
I felt betrayed at the time because I was preoccupied by other members of the cast, and there was shh, 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 and I knew something was going on, but it did happen. I was so pissed off at Tommy Noonan, I literally knocked him out. I literally knocked him out.
Why, you dirty...
It was a slide. It was a little bit of a slide for her.
Sure, she was not making as many films when we started talking about the nightclub situation as she was in the past. But she said that she was hopefully going to be under contract again to Warner's, which I don't think happened. And she also said that MGM was talking to her about doing something. And I said, well, Jane, in the meantime, please, let's do these nightclub things. And I talked to her into doing a satire on a strip. She said, a satire on a strip? I said, yeah, Jane. I said, they will really come out to see if they think that you're taking your clothes off. The only problem with Jane is she'd take a couple drinks and she'd want to take it all off. And I had to run out on stage with her fur coat to cover up, because I said, hold, Jane, wait a minute, they're going to put us in jail here.
You know, it's very difficult to be married to Jayne Mansfield. It wasn't easy.
When you keep the palm open and the bird sits on your palm, do not clutch the bird. Let the palm be open. They taught me in Japan when I was experiencing Zen. Let the bird fly. Let the palm be open.
Jane had been selected and agreed to do a revival of Bus Stop in the area, plus a summer stock tour. So I applied for the job and got to meet Jane that way.
And it was a big success. She and I played Bus Stop. And we had a gentleman who some way, somehow, to get a little bit closer to us than other people has.
She saw this man, he was going to produce Chekhov and star her and all these things. That was her ambition. She wanted to do serious films. And she saw Matt as this. She just fell head over heels in love with him.
She made me laugh. And I enjoyed that part of it, and I enjoyed the part of making her laugh. Many times I try to drive a point home with her by satirizing her herself, and she had a sense of humor about herself.
I'm in love.
She confronted me. She looks at me in the eyes and she said, I'm in love with Mr. Simber and I want to marry him.
You always
you hurt the one you love, the one you shouldn't hurt at all. You always take the sweetest rose and crush it
A few years back.
till the petals fall. You always parade.
I was tolerant. I don't know, maybe I'm in one sense, maybe I'm dominating. I was understanding. I don't maybe I was too close to her. I don't think I could be a tough guy. I don't think I could demand. I don't think I dictatorial. Maybe it was all my fault, all unhappiness. It's possible. It may be. I tried to change in many ways, but let the bird fly. Don't hold this. If you open your hand, it stays there. It's okay. But it flies. Let her go.
It's because I love you most of
I read in the paper, Jane and Matt Simber married in Mexico. And gonna move to New York with our children.
I really admired her. I had incredible good time with her. I think the only mistake in our relationship was that we got married.
I was best man at their wedding. We got married at the motel up on the hill overlooking the sea. It was beautiful, starlit night. It was gorgeous. The next morning, Jane had already had a bottle of wine, and she was sitting out by the pool, and she says, "Coos, what have I done?" I said, "Well, whatever you've done, it's too late." "But I don't want to be married. I want to be a movie star."
Jane came to me and she said, "Paul, Matt does not want you around anymore." Said he's the manager. He's going to be the manager, and he wants to do the bookings. He wants to do everything, and he does not want you to be with us anymore. And I said, "That's fine, Jane. Right or wrong, he's your husband."
Would you like to change your image?
I would like to build on it, which I'm doing right now. I'm doing more dramatic things. I'm doing the same satire and wonderful things, like I mentioned Fanny Hill that I want to do in the West End, and more dramatic pictures, but also the campy, satirical, fun pictures.
Finding film roles for her would have been difficult, because what was happening in the 50s certainly was beginning to change very obviously in the 60s. So I felt that if we could develop a nightclub act, that would give her probably financial security forever, because Las Vegas was really starting to blossom.
I was very impressed with Matt. He was telling me all these great things they were going to do together. But he took her on the road in all these one-night stands, and they were just going for the money. Grab the money here, grab the money there, and go.
When I was attending an oil show in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she was there in town and performing at a nightclub. And it was well, I'm glad they didn't turn the lights up. You know, it was a bad-looking place. And so, yes, I was disappointed that it had come to that. I guess that's the only way I can address it. And back in the little teeny tiny dressing room back there, and her husband was selling pictures of her for 50 cents a piece, and that was a real shocker. She gave me one free.
Wouldn't you really admit, Miss Mansfield, that it's simply sex that's got you where you are now?
Oh, well, I don't know if it's only sex. And I think it's really sort of a, kind of making people have fun, enjoy themselves and all.
But,
excuse me, I'm changing.
But most people do think of you as a sex symbol. Do you mind that?
No, I think it's fun. I dig it. I think it's very campy. I mean, I sort of dig being sexy, don't you?
Everybody says, boy, she must be really a hot number. I didn't think so. I know more secretaries and more, I mean, not to negate, what she, not to negate what she had as a sex symbol, as being, when you say sex symbol, what does that mean? Jane was never more to me than a pinup.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jayne Mansfield.
Would you consider yourself a happy person?
No.
Why not?
I have wonderful happy moments. I consider myself tremendously fortunate for having 5 children. But I think a person who is tremendously complicated and involved, I don't think that person would ever, really be a contented, happy person. But as long as there are enough happy moments to overbalance the unhappy ones, then I think...
After Tony was born, her attitude towards Matt changed, not right away. But by that time, Jane was doing a lot of drinking. She'd be so erratic. At night, she would do crazy things after the show, and Matt was going through a lot with her. She wasn't easy.
She would never face the fact that she had a drinking problem. And if she could have done that, I would have stuck it out. But because she totally denied it, I knew that it would be a very long time before she'd ever be ready to really try, if ever, to try and do something about it.
She would call me, and she'd make up stories that Matt was beating her up. And that Matt was doing this and Matt was doing that. Well, I talked to people that were on the road with her, and they would tell me that's not what's happening. And Matt told me, he said, Jane used to beat herself. She'd get drunk and beat herself, beat her arms and make them blue, and say he did it.
A lot of it was a depression, or maybe where her career was going. I mean, who wants to work in a nightclub in Biloxi? I mean, that was not her choice. There really wasn't any help from men. It was her that did it.
If I were a little more mature, that I might have been able to deal with the situation a little differently as well. But at the time, that was how I saw it had to be, that I would just leave, and, enough was enough.
She walked out there, she was the professional. She never let anyone know she was hurting, ever. She forgave everybody, everything, and she never understood why people wouldn't forgive her. She was like a little girl that never grew up.
And her life at that time was very much in a turmoil. It seems like now I was a bird and I was flying.
Sam Brody. She hired him to be her lawyer right away because she was getting the divorce from Matt.
I guess he just was obsessed with her. I mean, to let his career, his family, everything lapse. I guess he just went bonkers, you know.
He bought her diamonds and jewels. Sam went overboard for Jane. Sam Brody had a sterling background. He was part of a prestigious law firm in Los Angeles. He was a married man with 2 children, seemingly had a successful marriage, but he fell in love with a beautiful woman and lost his head and his family and his fortune and his life. Sam Brody owed Jimmy Hoffa personally $250,000 that he had borrowed to spend on Jane, because he was broke. And Jane says, well, I can go on the road, I can help you pay that, I can help you pay that. And that was part of the thing of continuing the bookings on the road. She was going to help Sam pay off his debts.
Miss Mansfield, why did you want to tour clubs in northeast England?
I thought it might be rather kicky, you know? Really, I've got a lot of mail from northeast England.
With his gun. She was drinking a lot, and so was Sam. And Sam was an insanely jealous man. He was trying to be the manager, the everything, and no one was keeping Jane in check and keeping her professional.
Did you bring the dogs when you came here before?
I didn't have these little dogs when I came here before.
Were you aware of the quarantine law? You must have been a lawyer.
I wasn't aware because Jane has taken her dogs to many countries in the world.
Miss Mansfield's reception so far hasn't exactly been overwhelming. The critics see what you have gathered from coincidence.
The empty-handed painter from your streets is drawing crazy patterns on your sheets. The sky too is falling over you.
I haven't seen her at that time, maybe 5-6 months. And I think a change was quite severe. And is not the Jane I used to know. Jane had a dark sunglasses. It's Mickey. You don't need to wear this. As soon as I said that, I take the glasses off. Her eyes here, red, shot, and blue. I said, what happened? Sam beat me up. She went back on Los Angeles, and I find out that she went back with Sam Brody. It seemed that something very severe had to happen.
He would beat her up, she would have him put in jail. The next morning, she would go get him out of jail. And Sam often told me, he said, one of these days, one of us will kill the other.
Brody was the wrong guy at the wrong time. But I'm not so sure any guy could have really dealt with it at the time. I think the only person who could have dealt with it was Jane herself. I really feared at the time that something would happen.
I left home 2 weeks before she died, and we were going to be going through a horrendous court ordeal that was just be coming up. And I don't want to blame her. I believe a lot of it was her surroundings, where she used to trust me and listen to me. At the very end, she wouldn't do that. And at that point in time, I had to throw in the towel.
She was appearing at Gus Stevens' supper and dinner club. She was with her boyfriend, Samuel Brody. She had a television engagement in the morning down in New Orleans, and they decided to go on down that night.
We knew that we had to go somewhere in the nighttime, and it was a big rush to go to another place. And we were tired. My brother, me, my sister, we were all tired. And we got in the car, and we went, basically, probably just fell asleep.
They were speeding down Route 90, and they ran into a pesticide fog. A tractor-trailer had just went into the fog and had slowed way down, and they ran into the back of it and subsequently went up under the truck.
I don't remember anything else but just waking up in the back seat, you know, and it was kind of a eerie, weird feeling. Didn't quite I knew we were in an accident, but it almost seemed like we were in a dream, like it happened so quick, you know. I was like, wow.
Ronnie Harrison, he was 20 years old, and he was driving. He was killed. And then seated in the middle was 40-year-old Sam Brody, who was Miss Mansfield's divorce attorney as well as her boyfriend at the time. He was killed. And then, of course, Miss Mansfield was seated in the passenger seat.
I'm happy that we are all able to survive, because everyone in the front seat was killed.
I went into a funeral home. I said, "Can I see her?" Yes. I saw her the last time. It wasn't really her anymore. You know, soul was gone, spirit was gone. It was just a machine. It wasn't her.
In 1957, I married my present wife, Sue. She brought to our marriage a son, and we've had 3 together.
I got married soon after. I married a wonderful girl who adopted Tony and has been a wonderful mother to him, even till today.
Ellen and I built this house 20 years ago. We're living in here for 20 years. The children are grown. They're all beautiful, all wonderful, all independent. We are very close. We hold the family together. And we are a unit. o'clock in the morning, and I hear a violin play, and I start listening, and I hear a tune, what Jane used to play. And I said, no, it's not possible. I get up, I open the door, I come out, look down, and there is Jane playing a violin. I'm not sure, I'm crazy. You know, that's what they say. What society say, obviously, when you think different than everybody else, you are nuts. So, thank you very much. True love never dies.